Our thoughts and feelings come from our memories. Our thoughts and feelings come from the things we're exposed to in terms of knowledge and the experiences that we have in our life. So when you have an experience or you learn something new, your brain begins to physically change and you wire that in your brain. You have new circuits to reflect that event. So there's a fingerprint or a footprint in your brain. When you have an experience and the experience produces an emotional quotient, that's what experiences do. They have a residue of emotion. Emotions are the end product of experience. Then how you think and how you feel, for the most part, is a record of your past. And your brain is an artifact of the past. It is a reflection of everything you've been exposed to in your environment. And your body, if you're living by the same emotion, and those thoughts are driving the emotions, and the emotions are driving the thoughts, and the thoughts are driving the emotions, then your body, as the unconscious mind, is believing it's in the past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. To the body, it's literally living in the past. So now, if our thoughts and feelings then are a record of the past, and you take a series of thoughts and you connect a thought to a feeling, 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 that's called an attitude. So you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings. You say you have a pretty good attitude, you know? And if you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some negative feelings, you would say you have a pretty bad attitude. Now, how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. You got it? So now, if you take an attitude, an attitude, an attitude, and you string a series of attitudes together, that's called a belief. And a belief is just an extended state of being. So if an attitude is a shortened state of being and a belief is an elongated state of being, we could say then that a belief is a thought you keep thinking over and over again until you fire and wire it in your brain, and it has a component of emotion that then begins to condition the body into believing it's true. So then, if you keep thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking in the same way, and you condition your body to be the mind of that state of being, an unconscious process, then a belief is an unconscious state of being. So we have beliefs about money, we have beliefs about spirituality, we have beliefs about relationships, we have beliefs about drugs and pills and medicine, we have beliefs about governments, we have beliefs about everything. Weight, it's all diet, it's all beliefs. So then a belief is an extended state of being that becomes an unconscious process because the body has been hardwired neurologically and emotionally conditioned. So the boundaries of our beliefs then become the way we feel about things. So when you're exposed to a new belief and it's outside of your emotional acceptance, that's the moment people say, I don't believe it, this doesn't feel right to me. So then if you take a belief and you string beliefs together, that's called a perception. And a perception has everything to do with the relationships you have, the choices you make, the things you create, and the behaviors that you demonstrate. So then in order to change your beliefs and perceptions about yourself and your life, you have to change your state of being. And in order to change your state of being, you have to make a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision carries an emotional quotient or a level of energy that's greater than the hardwired programs in your brain and the emotional conditioning of your body or addiction of your body. And your body literally responds to a new mind. In other words, how can a person in a state of religious ecstasy drink strychnine and have no biological effects? They make a decision to change their state of being, and it's energy that does that. It's electromagnetism. They're not saying, geez, I wonder if this is poison.
Right.
The moment they're in that state, they're in a limited state of being. They're more matter and less energy. How can a person in a state of absolute faith chew on glass and have no biological effects? Their decision in that moment transcends their biology. It transcends their circuitry. It transcends their genetics. In that moment, they're out of time. A person who takes a poisonous snake in a state of absolute certainty and allows the poisonous snake to bite them and they have no blood coagulation. How does that happen? They're in a different state of being. Their choice then transcends the old, and in that moment, their body literally is immune to the conditions in their environment, and they're literally living outside time.
Now, by the same means, there are people that have had abusive childhoods with alcoholic parents, where they were abused every single day when their father came home from work. And it wasn't just one event. It was a series of several events over time that began to select and instruct genes that caused them to have a rare genetic condition. Now, in this case, this person, it took them almost 2 years to literally consistently knock on the genetic door and break out of the patterns of their normal thinking and the way they typically felt. In other words, every single day they understood that they were their own genetic engineer, and every single day they were working on going from the old self to the new self. And of course, life isn't that linear. They had their own stress events, they had their own difficulties, they had their own financial problems, they had family dynamics, and because they were living life, it took them more time. But every day, they were shaving down a little bit more of those emotions from the past and learning how to elevate their emotional state. And they were practicing every single day, combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion and moving into a new state of being. Now, this person's health condition was very limited. They had the very scaffolding and the structure of their bones were degenerating, where they had numerous fractures. And the doctors told them there was no solution for this genetic condition. But if you understand then, if the scaffolding of bones is made of proteins, and that you could actually begin to upregulate those genes, every single day she was knocking on that genetic door and shaving down that emotional state and changing her thoughts and feelings, that in 2 years she reached the point in her life where she was so in love with herself, so in love with life, so grateful to be alive, that she no longer cared if she even had the condition any longer. She went to the hospital. They did the urine samples to determine if the disease was still present, and she got the call the next day that the gene was literally upregulated and her condition was back to normal. Now, this person, to this day, still has the change in her health. Now, when she stood on the stage and told the story to the audience, there was a woman in the audience with the same rare genetic condition. And she looked at that person and said, "If she could do it, I can do it." And this woman reversed the same rare genetic juvenile onset condition within 3 months. In other words, the person who had the healing broke the 4-minute mile, and it made it easier for the next person to do the same. And that's exactly what starts to happen in this work. I believe that health and wellness can become as infectious as disease. Now that I've shown you the supernatural ability of how your genes can be reprogrammed, how can we use this information to heal your body by thought alone? In fact, what's the next level for you? If in double-blind and triple-blind placebo studies, where subjects respond to a sugar pill and the changes result from 10% all the way up to 100%, do you really need a sugar pill begin to heal your body? In other words, is it possible to heal your body by thought alone?